Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm super excited to dig into this masterclass style training because I am here with Jim Padilla. Now, he is the founder and CEO of Gain the Edge, which is a done-for-you provider of industry-leading sales systems and unicorn sales professionals, which he co-leads with his wife and entrepreneurial partner in crime, Cindy Padilla. Through their unique blend of laser-targeted selling systems, inspirational team-building expertise, and over 60 years of combined sales experience, Jim and his wife have generated over $100 million in sales for a long line of high-level visionary entrepreneurs. It's why over the last near decade, Jim has become the online education industry's go-to expert on launching high-ticket sales, live events, and one-to-many scaling. So of course, we had to have him here to talk to us about how to streamline, systematize, and scale, and to do it masterfully. So Jim, we're so excited that you're here with us. We can't wait to dig into your topic.
Adrienne, thanks so much for having me, and really excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. Now I know, whether you're brand new in business or whether you're working on scaling to six-figure months or multiple six-figure months, everyone loves the idea of scaling, of growing. And so I can't wait to dig into this topic because if you're learning it ahead of time, you can set the stage far in advance mentally. You can plan things out the right way rather than having to clean up messes, which I know you see a lot.
Yes.
Or whether you're further along and this is kind of perfectly timed for you, this is going to be perfect for everyone. But before we dig into all the good stuff, just in case someone is meeting you for the first time, do you want to tell us just a little bit about your story and how did you find yourself in this space of being an expert on sales systems, sales teams, and organizational design?
So, I'm going to go back to childhood just because it's relevant. I was born to teenage parents a very long time ago, 5 decades ago. And, my dad took off immediately and as a 16, 17-year-old kid, and my mom responded with a very challenging situation. She responded with a lot of rage, anger, and fear. And so a lot of that landed right here on me. Mm-hmm. And it was a very abusive environment and, ended up in foster care at 13 and in gangs and streets at 16 and in jail by 19. And it's all, if you imagine spending every single day, every waking moment, learning how to read the room, to master the environment so that you could bend people's will to your direction because you didn't want them to see you as a threat. You needed them to see you as an ally because that's the only way that I could stay safe. And whether it was, how do I make my mom an ally? How do I help? I thought I was doing something really wrong. So I was like, how do I make her not see me as a threat? When you're on the streets, when you're in jail, same thing as how do I make myself an asset and an ally to this environment so that I become needed? And little did I know that, you fast forward 20 years on the road and I make millions of dollars teaching other people how to influence the room, read the room, bend the will, and influence to your direction so that people would see you as an ally and not as a threat. And that's what you need to be in business, especially in sales, is you need to be an ally for people so that they don't see you as a friction piece. They see you as a means to an end to get the things that they need. So, I started teaching that in sales training years ago. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I had alarm sales businesses. I had offices in 3 cities of door knockers and a phone room supporting them. And we were out banging doors, selling alarm systems. And then I would, jumped into mortgage in early 2000s until that went bust in 2008, largely because a lot of things I was doing inappropriately. And then, people didn't need mortgages, but they still needed to know how to sell. So I jumped in and started teaching people how to sell. But I was making sales. I spent the first couple of decades of my life selling for what I needed because I was trying to take care of me. And then I learned after putting some people in very bad situations because of the mortgage situation, I put people in loans they didn't belong in, and I ruined some people's lives. And I had to start recognizing that I need to use my powers for good and not evil. And I had to start stripping away the things that left me feeling slimy and awful. and started leaving me feeling good and leaving other people feeling served. And that was 2008. And, the rest has been a crazy wild ride. And in 2013, I met an entrepreneur named Bill Barron, who was, one of the smartest people I've ever met and an emerging rock star at the time. And he was getting ready to do his first 7-figure launch. And he wanted sales support. He didn't want us to come in and train his people. So he said, can you provide sales support? And we said, sure. Like a good entrepreneur, I had no clue what a launch was. I had no clue how to pull all this together, but I got Jeff Walker's launch book, read it in a weekend, hired a bunch of, 12 of my buddies and clients and said, hey, let's go make a bunch of money on this launch. And 17 days later, we had an incredible, wildly successful train wreck of a launch that was $1.6 million. And a week later, there was a line at the door, and we became the go-to expert for launches and events. And we spent the next 2 years delivering nothing but launch support, sales support for events. And this became a massive, wild hit. And then people started wanting us to stick around between launches and events and start selling for them more. So we said, sure, let's figure out how to do that too. And then, here we are, 8 years later, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sales later. And, we're most loved and well-respected sales experts in the game. And it's been all by God's choosing and doing, because if I had to choose all this and do it ahead of time, I probably wouldn't have done it. And everything we figured out, we did on accident. But it's been incredible.
I'll be honest, I kind of have goosebumps right now hearing that story. Like, holy cow. So first of all, God works in mysterious ways. It's really incredible. A lot of people would look at your early story and just see like the terrible story that it is. Like, I'm so sorry those things happened to you, but also it's part of what made you so wickedly emotionally intelligent and able to read a room and able to like understand the dynamics of everything going around you. And you chose to see it as an asset. Right. Like,
yeah,
a lot of other people would choose to see that as all the reasons why I can't possibly succeed. But you didn't.
Yeah.
You were like, hey, this is an asset. I have some skills here. And maybe you didn't see it right away, but eventually, right? Like,
well, and it really built this, you could say Teflon. Some people say Teflon. Some people would just call it, this indestructible nature about me that, it's like you just start getting in tune with reality. It's like, look, I'm a living, walking example of that which doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Yeah. And as long as you're standing on the right side of the grass today, you still got work to do. And that's what's really been a big part of this journey. And something, even in my youth, couldn't put my finger on it, but I was a bad kid, but I never blamed my environment. It was because I chose to be a bad kid. Right. So, and it was never, well, I grew up in a rough place and my mom abused.
It's not my fault. Like,
none of that.
It was none of that.
And all the way along, there was this feeling inside that even though I was doing wrong, I knew I shouldn't. I was ashamed of it, but I just didn't know what else to do. I still was like, no, this is the path I'm on. So,
but it's never too late to change your path. And boy, did you. And you found yourself in a situation that frankly would scare the pants off a lot of people. If someone's saying, hey, help me have a 7-figure launch, and you're going, let me go figure out what a launch is, right? Like, but you saw opportunity and you knew you had some skill sets and you knew you had some things to bring to the table. And instead of running the other way, you leaned in.
Yes.
I love that. That is
very much so. And it's, everybody watching this, listening, we all have something similar. It doesn't have to be some rags to riches overcomer story, but as an entrepreneur, opportunities are made from the problems that present themselves. And that's just been my DNA from the time I could walk. And now it's something that we really lean into on purpose. It's like everything that's going on in the world is, whether it's, it's creating fear and doubt and anxiety and all these challenges, but all of that is not a reason to run for cover or circle the wagons. This is time to really lean in and press in and figure out, how do I solve problems? And then the moment you can solve a problem, if you do it once, you can do it twice. And if you do it twice, you can do it 10 times. So too many times people wait to, like, quote unquote, scale their business. And that's an overused term right now. But scaling, I want you to think about this differently. Scale is about units. Scale means, how can I plug on more parts? Growth is about zeros. Scale is about units. Growth is about zeros. You don't necessarily need to scale to grow strategically and make more revenue and provide more impact. So it can be part of the formula, and often is. but not always, right? So
Mhm.
that's kind of what we're going to talk about today
Yeah,
too.
I love that. I mean, I think it's one of those buzzwords that people were trying to find out, how do I explain what it is I'm trying to do? I'm trying to grow, but I get your definition. That completely makes sense. And I imagine whether it was that first launch you helped with, or as you started moving towards people saying, hey, can you just stick with us even in between launches? Hey, can you help us do this next bigger thing? I mean, every step of the way, the structure of your team, how you delivered your deliverables, the manner in which you did it. Like, obviously, there's only one gym. You can only be in so many places, right? But yet you're providing these amazing high quality services to all these other entrepreneurs. How, and I know you recommend this consult and advise model as opposed to the typical growth or scaling model. Tell us a little bit, when you say consult and advise, what do you mean by that?
So there is, I'm going to be careful not to say this, because one of my pet peeves is when people say, this is contrarian or this is controversial. And then they say, let somebody else tell you it's contrarian. But most people teach master something first, then outsource it, or master something and then grow it. I tend to go the opposite. Once you've done it once, you've proven it can be done. So now immediately start looking for how else can it be done in a way that you can do more of them. So that if I can do one, I can do two. If I'm going to do a meeting, it's like this. I could meet you and I one-on-one, or I happen to know that this is a leveraged conversation because you and I are talking and we have a bunch of friends with us who are watching
Right.
in.
Or we
Right?
could be live streaming this to 10 places at once. Or there's
Correct.
lots of ways where we could have
Correct.
more leverage.
And so, I had this thing where, a lot of times we grow through stages of business and growth. And what I did just from an early age, I didn't want to let go of everything. So when I left my alarm company, I sold my piece of it so that I still had a piece of it. And then when I was in mortgage, now mortgage was different because we kind of shut down the whole thing because it blew up on us. But every time I've been in a business opportunity, it's like, how can I have a tail on it? Like everything, when we're creating revenue packages and consulting with people on that, I want you to always be thinking about how can you get paid in advance? How can you get paid ongoing? And how can you get paid beyond the opportunity? It doesn't mean every single opportunity is going to present that. But if you're not thinking that way, you'll never find those opportunities. And so we're always like, there's always some sort of investment up front. There's always some sort of ongoing component. And then there's always when this sells, we'll get a piece, or when this comes about, we'll be able to have peace, or like with our, we commissions ongoing. So there's always something there. And every business has a way to do that. That I promise you, we can help you find it.
Yeah.
But start thinking that way all the time, and then start thinking about how can you continue to be part of it. So that, we did sales training for years. Well, I got tired of sales training. So then we stopped doing it. And then what we've done then was we've now re-engaged it, but now we have somebody else doing it. So we're still doing it. It's like we put in all this time, effort, energy, work, process, systems, strategies, programs. Why just put it on the shelf when someone else can be benefiting from it? I just don't want to do it anymore. So now we have somebody else in it. And so from the consult advise perspective, what we're doing is, okay, what's the solution that we're providing here? What is the one part of it that I have to do? And then what's the rest of it that I can have somebody else do? And then I can just consult and advise. Doesn't mean you have to set up separate companies, but start thinking of every offer you make as its own division. And how can that offer run without you, or only leverage you to the places that you're needed?
So you have all these divisions essentially with, for lack of a better word, a general manager overseeing each one.
Right.
Where the heart of what's happening in that division came from your mind. It's your strategy. It's your systems. It's, it's something you've proven, but as quickly as possible, you get someone else in charge of it, running it, operating it. Your level of involvement then is simply consulting and advising that general manager who now takes over.
Yeah, that's the goal. And the beauty of it, though, is it doesn't have to necessarily be something that we created. Could have been just something that we inspired, or something that we know is valuably needed for the clients that we serve, or for one of the markets that we're in. So then we can bring somebody in who provides that solution, even though we never did. But we now partner with them, and it is a combined solution that they're offering under our umbrella. And again, we are partners in this opportunity, and we consult advise, but they're the full operator of this opportunity.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So you have a lot of partnerships built in as well,
Amen.
like affiliate relationships, that kind of thing.
Yeah, partnership is one of our core values. And the way we define partnership is two people combining their resources to serve the people we care about in common. If you ask myself,
Mhm.
where can I get another client? Then all you're ever going to be doing is looking for clients. If I can figure out how can I do this better? How can this be delivered better? How can I get an exponential return on this? Then you start seeking different solutions, different partners, different ways of thinking. And then all of
Mhm.
a sudden, those ideas come up. Sometimes to even try to comprehend 10 years from now seems like just a ridiculous exercise in nonsense. But
Mhm.
you have to, if you can't start seeing it, then you won't even start asking the kind of questions. And it could be around, what are the things that will make my business obsolete? What are the problems that the clients that I likely serve now will want to have solved a year from now or 2 years from now? What kind of business will they still be in? What kind of opportunities will exist for them? And how can I be part of that landscape?
What are some symptoms that they might be experiencing right now that might clue them in that, like, hey, you might want to reevaluate how you're thinking about the structure of your business?
Well, that's a great question. And the symptoms that'll be happening in your business that could be that you're really focusing on either too small of a thought process, you're not thinking far enough out, or you're thinking more transactional in nature. And
Mm.
if it's more directly tied to number one, and first and foremost is, if your question set starts with what do I have to do, then
Mhm.
you're already starting to think wrong. So
Yeah.
don't think, what do I have to do? Think, what do I need to make sure it gets done? Those are two very different statements, okay, or
Mhm.
questions. What do I have to do says, what is my physical hands, what am I capable of with
Right.
my knowledge, my expertise, my physical being? What outcome can I affect? What can I ensure gets done? Says I have the entire world at my disposal. I can call Adrian because she knows something I don't. I can call Kevin Harrington because he can bring something I can't. I can call friend, colleague. I can find a new solution, new technology. I'm not married to any one thing. I could create a whole new invention that solves this thing. Everything is at my disposal. And
Mm.
then you start saying, okay, what is the thing that gives me high value and low cost, right? I can get
Yeah.
something with great value and less cost, which oftentimes is a partnership opportunity. If you're starting a business today and you don't even know what products you're offering, offer somebody else's. Who the heck
Yeah.
says it has to be yours? Just start selling other people's stuff right now until you figure out the right product suite that you want to be able to jump into and say, oh, I can provide something in the middle of these two that provides the glue between these two experiences. Great,
Mhm.
do that, right?
Yeah.
So first, immediately stop thinking about what can I do and start thinking about what's the outcome I can affect. Then the
Mhm.
second piece is, how is this going to ensure an outcome that pays a result in the future?
Mm.
Right?
It
Obviously,
goes
what you do
beyond the
today,
initial transaction. Like there's
correct.
a whole pathway.
Exactly. Is this going to feed me today, or is this going to feed me for a lifetime? Just always be asking those questions. And there's nothing wrong if what you're selling is only going to feed you today, because you have to eat today.
Yeah.
Please eat today. I don't want you to starve. Here's a news flash. Running a 7-figure business is easier than running a 6-figure one. And running an 8-figure business is easier than that, right? Because you have more resources, you have more strategy, you have more leverage, you have more impact, you have more credibility, you have more we have more self-worth, because you
Yeah.
actually you can look back and go, look what I have created. Look what God has created through me, right? Versus the person who's only sold a handful of things and is still trying to reach that 6-figure mark. Again, nothing wrong with it, but you have a different level of credibility. You're still trying to prove yourself to yourself.
Mhm.
So immediately start looking at, what can I do to get beyond these measures? You need to be thinking about that right from the beginning. How do I position what I do so desirably that people want it, and then pursue me for it? And
Mhm.
then when you have all of that in place, it's now you just start figuring out, how do I replicate myself so that that offer can do the work for me. So now I can put an average salesperson who can follow a system and can consistently and predictably overachieve.
As you're building out these divisions, it could be in the beginning, you're a solopreneur and you're wearing 20 hats. You're the VA, you're the graphic designer, you're the virtual assistant,
Yeah,
you're the copywriter, you're the all the things. But at least you recognize it's 20 separate hats. And the minute you're able to kind of section them into the divisions, and the minute you're able to hire one, you could have a division of one, and then a
correct.
division of two, and then three. Like you can start small,
Yep.
but you're thinking of this structure ahead of time in your mind.
Yeah. And, this is an area where I definitely think different than most people. Most people will say, okay, build something out, get profitable, out of profit, hire a team. I've always been the opposite. The
Mm.
moment I see, as a visionary, I could see something happening. I'm like, oh, this is going to work great. Then it's how fast can I get somebody in place who can help run it? And sometimes that
Mhm.
running just means running alongside of me. But I also know my limitations. And I don't want, if I have to be the one to power it and build it, it's not going to go anywhere because
Yeah.
I'm already focused on too many other things. And so
Yeah.
this allows me to keep focusing on where we're going while the people I put in place focus on getting it there. And so what happens is it takes you a little bit longer to reach profit, but you're in profit for a long time.
Yeah.
Versus trying to do it on your own, it could take you forever to get into profit because you're the one trying to move all this stuff. And here's the thing that you want to think about is with that, what I always say is put your hands in your pockets. So like right now, Adrian, put your hands in your pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody listen, put your hands in your pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Now write an email. How would you write
Probably
an
hard.
email? Yeah. How would you write an email with your hands in your pockets? How would you reach out to somebody and have a conversation with your hands in your pockets? How would you build a web page with your hands in your pockets?
Not very
You would
well,
have,
that's for sure.
you would have to ask great questions of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the moment you do this, you just put yourself in that situation. So
Yeah.
that every time you're going to start next project you're going to take on, put your hands in your pockets and say, now, how do I accomplish this?
You'd
Okay.
have to rely on other people.
100%
Mm-hmm.
because you're now, but it puts you in, you're going to be more creative because you're trying to overcome that challenge. Most of you are valuing the ROI of your time and measuring it with a stopwatch. The
Mm.
people who win are the people who measure the ROI of their time with a calendar.
Okay, I'm going to flip my thinking. I'm going to try what he said. I'm going to invest first in getting some help or expanding my team, expanding my help, expanding my systems so that I
Yes.
can bring more in shorter term because I'm opening up more of my valuable time. So, but to do that, and I think the example you gave was perfect, get just enough sales in the door to kind of pay for a month's worth of those people's time, right? So you're like planning ahead, you're paying it ahead, basically.
Right.
And then you can repurpose your time to bringing in. So they're realizing like, okay, I just need a handful of more sales. And I know sales is one of your expertise areas, obviously. So, and I also know you have a free gift for the audience to help them bring in more sales and to get more closes. Do you want to tell us about that?
I do. I'm really excited about this. I created it on accident. This gift that we're giving you was created in the middle of an interview because somebody was asking me these things. I was like, no, yeah, we can do this. And so I just kind of created it on the fly. But now I love it. I share it. This is like my number one go-to. It is called our anti-closer sales system.
Mm.
And it's based on the framework that, or the philosophy that you don't want to go hire a closer. We want to create a system that can deliver a closer. That is what you want. And so it's helping you get dialed in on what is your clear offer, what's the prospect journey, what is the bleeding neck problem, not just the kind of sort of problem they have, but a bleeding neck problem that actually compels people to move forward.
Yeah.
Understanding their core story, understanding what's at stake for them, right? And being able to put it all in place in a simple system. Now, is this is this going to give you the results that we can get? Probably not, but it's going to get you a head start on this path. It's going to get you start thinking in how can I put structure. Here's the difference. Okay, and there's some other offers we have too, but the whole focus on this is: do you want to become better at selling, or do you want to create your world in such a way that so the sales happen? I prefer the latter, and I'm a sales expert. I'm a sales guy. I don't want to get better at selling. I want to get better at structuring my world in such a way that sales happen, because that's the life I live. And that's what I
Yeah.
want you to be able to live. And it's all centered around putting a system in place that's not designed to put a closer in place, and it's designed to replicate you and get you out of the way.
Oh, I love it. So you guys, this is the easy button. I mean, there really are no easy buttons in business, but this is about as close as it gets. Okay. If you're realizing that this conversation is really what you needed to hear, you need to start thinking differently, right? And acting and behaving differently, creating more leverage, scoop up this free gift. It's going to be huge and instrumental in helping you to create that leverage. And I know you also have a VIP gift for anyone here who's a VIP ticket holder. And if you're not yet, what are you doing? Grab that VIP ticket. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your VIP gift?
I do. And you guys, absolutely, whatever the cost is for the VIP ticket, you're going to get it back in spades, because I know that all the other experts are putting together some really cool stuff that's going to deliver you a powerful ROI. So the two things we created what we call a bundle here. And it's basically the ultimate sales bundle. And it's based on two things. One is our Leads Made Easy program, which is something we do as a live challenge a few times a year. And it's literally hands down, without question, the program that we get the most feedback and input on. A lot of our clients teach this as their own concept to their clients, but it's basically the difference between who you're serving and when you're serving them. And we have zeroed in on really mastering the the when of the process, so that what's the trigger event that they have that helps them get growing exponentially in the need and the problem that you solve. So that way you're not trying to search out there for everybody. You want to find the people who are in the right stage of readiness, need, and desire for what you have, so that they're much more bought into the conversation when they show up. Okay, so Leads Made Easy program, you absolutely want that. Game changer for sure.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.